of Alf. Today we're going to talk about the future of IT, and with me I have two of the brightest minds that I ever ran into. I have Simon King from San Jose. Welcome, Simon.
Hi.
How you guys doing?
Very good.
This is good. Anthony Orr sits in Houston, Texas, and he's too has been around this IT world of ours for a while. Welcome, Anthony.
Wow, thank you, Alf. I guess I have been around for a while, huh? I am getting up there in age, I guess. Let's see. See the gray hair coming in there? See?
Yeah.
No.
One other main reason I wanted to have you two on here in Alzu is to learn about what excites you in the IT world right now. It's anything from sensors and robots to biotechnology and electric cars. Anthony, what gets you up in the morning? What is it that you see as part of the future of IT?
Well, when you think about IT, Alf, one of the things that we always remember, why IT in the first place, to think way back to the abacus and things like that. It's really to make our lives better at the end of the day. That's why I told you earlier, I said, what really excites me is something that I think I see in the future is this convergence of what we do in IT with, with making our lives better, with robots and biotechnologies and so forth, so that we can enhance people's lifespans and the way they live their lives, and at the end of the day, how we deliver services with IT underpinning those services at the end of the day. So, for example, when you think about today's social aspects, there's a lot of robot-to-robot type communications that are actually helping us, make better sense of our schedules and things like that. And IT is under the covers, taking care of those things, and with mobile technologies and things like that. Then you hear about scientists, using micro and nano technologies and so forth, that they can actually maybe put devices on you or put devices inside of you so they can monitor, how your well-being is. And that sort of excites me, that we make this connection between us and the machine. It's almost like if you were thinking about the Terminator movie, and you think about the robots and things taking over and making our lives better. But really more from a positive perspective. So those are some of the things I think about when you sort of just go way out there, start thinking, how can technology, influence the future and make things better? That was the purpose of it in the beginning.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I read about neural dust, which looks both scary and enormously thrilling, and it can map our brains, and we can now take command over computers. I'm more worried about when people can start to take command over my brain using that. So it's exciting, but also scary. Simon.
Yeah. One more thing, Al. One more thing.
Yes, sir.
One more thing. When you think about this too, for example. Sorry to interrupt you, Simon. But when you think about this, think about some kids who are born with, different diseases and things like that, and they can't communicate with the outside world. But now, because of technology, even though they may not be able to move their bodies, they can exist in a virtual space, which can be extended to the physical space and so forth, and backwards and forward, so they can find more meaning, be educated, and become productive, and feel that they're really a part of a society, even though they don't have some of the capabilities that, we have. So, Simon, go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead, Simon. What gets you going?
I really want to build on what Anthony is saying. I really like the idea of ubiquitous computing, and the concept that the computing is not just available at a PC when you go to it, but the notion that there's server capabilities everywhere, information that we want to get a hold of, that we want to use, activities that we want to pursue, but that we can do it with devices that we don't really think twice about, that the information is kind of wearable, or, as I think Anthony is alluding to, maybe even part of how we think and how we breathe. It's right there, and you can see some of this starting to come into play right now. Just the very, very earliest convergences of how technology is truly affecting our lives, where people who are ill are looking forward to the notion that true stem cell modification of other people's stem cells can be used and 3D printed to create new livers, new hearts, but the notion then that the information that we use, not just in how we think about our consumer lives, but our business lives. That's the other piece that I get really excited about, is how IT, or not IT as we know it today, but how computing can really start to change how we think about business in the future. That when the information that's being gathered at all these different locations within manufacturing, within distribution, logistics and sales, and end use by consumers, can then be fed back and used to inform us as to how we run our businesses. So we've got access to the information wherever and whenever we need it, and then can take action on it directly and have it quickly and easily influence the outcome. That for me is really exciting. And so the notion of the Starship Enterprise is just really cool, that kind of robust back end to enable us on the front end to interact with it.
We were just talking about that last week, Simon, weren't we? About the Starship Enterprise and some of the things that can happen, so that IT just is not for economic value, but for social value. Go ahead, Alf.
No, that's right. Where are we today with that type of integration of hyper-modern technology that tells about a business? Are people actually using that? Or are we using that at BMC, for example, to become a better company, or a customer using it?
I think it depends on the company a little bit. Certainly on the back end, you're starting to see the level of robust computing. I mean, as Anthony and I were discussing last week, we thought 10 years ago there's no chance that you could get the kind of robustness you want for high-end Starship Enterprise level reliability. But you're starting to see it. I mean, probably Amazon is one of the better examples. Yes, I know they had an outage on their front end yesterday, but they have one of the most robust infrastructures around there that's able to deal with small failures continuously. So I think you're starting to see the back end implementation, and the front end is getting closer with iPads and iPhones and just the very early views that we're getting of the glass capability for wearable computing from Google. I kind of think that that's only scratching the surface, I'll be honest. I mean, I do know that scientists have last week started to run a real-time simulation of the brain, so they could model like a 40th of the brain in memory in a supercomputer and actually see how it works. So they're just starting to get a real understanding of how brains actually function. They've got models of pieces of the brain. They can create an actual connection from your brain, to computing software. Yeah. So I think we're starting to see some more of what's possible. But the other piece that goes with it, we've always been aware, Anthony and I both, in our work with best practices around ITIL and the interactions of users of computing, we've always been aware of the organizational implications of software on people. And so there's very much a cultural piece here that I think we haven't fully understood. And you're seeing discussions now about how do you think about Google Glass if someone wears it into the bathrooms, if it shows up in court or in a jury session, is it okay? And I think there's a lot of cultural issues we'll have to work through. I do remember 5 years ago where we were saying it was odd to see people walking down the street talking, not to somebody else, and then talking to their phone, to Siri. So I think culture is adapting pretty quickly, but I'm sure we've got some other interesting changes along the way as it becomes more prevalent.
Yeah, at the end of the day, to go back with the Star Trek theme, the final frontier for IT is really us. At the end of the day, improving our lives, improving our well-being, improving the people around us and our society as a whole, so that we can probably even solve some of the big issues within society today just by leveraging IT that way. One of the things that you asked out, where are we now? One of the things I think is that there's a lot of disciplines or a lot of silos as relates to these IT disciplines in the medical community, within IT and business and finance and everything else. And I think one day all these things are going to come together. They're going to be a convergence of discipline, just like I think it's going to be a convergence of things like social, mobile, analytics, and collaboration, and user profiling, and cloud, and so forth. So that becomes sort of one market, or one way of doing things. Almost just like when you think about your phone today. You used to be able to just make a telephone call. Now it's a camera, it's a laptop, it's this, and it's considered just that's the product. So all these disciplines, I think, at the end of the day, go come together and create this product for human consumption, and that's for us and our well-being. Instead of just the well-being of businesses.
So you don't think we're going to be replaced with robots and sensors? You think they're going to augment our existence more?
Yeah, a lot more, and make things better at the end of the day. So all those challenges we have, from the environmental factors and social factors, and then even some of the challenges. If I really went out there and see what social media sort of breaks the barrier as it relates to race and color and creed and things like that. Technology can help, at the end of the day, with a lot of the challenges that we see in the world, if we converge the technology the right way and we use it for what it was intended for, which is to make our lives better.
So
there are some really interesting things that you're referring to, Anthony. I mean, the notion of understanding people's healthcare, of converging the technology such that you have the wearable computing actually tracking your health and making recommendations. Anthony, I see you've been sitting for over 20 minutes now. I recommend you get up and take a walk around. Or, I have colleagues who are working on taking healthcare information and actually hacking how your body works, meaning changing your diet, changing your exercise routines. We've seen a huge increase in how long the oldest people live, but it's still kind of a ramp down from about 65 through 90. And colleagues in other industries are starting to use mobile phones combined with existing services, traditional healthcare, to square off that.
I think we lost you, Simon.
Yeah, and sort of get what Simon's going to. As we, if you look at the head I just put on, we're going to eventually graduate and get there, and be a little bit more successful with the way we use IT, and then start thinking about, what is the social value? What can we really do to make a change, instead of just thinking about things that we hear all the time: cost containment, business efficiency, and things like that. But it's a bigger picture than that at the end of the day, and what IT can really do when we start thinking about the future of it.
What do you think about these Tesla cars? It's the latest hoop, and now that there is a public transportation system supposed to go with it. Have you ever tried one of those? Are you interested in buying one of those?
No, I'm not interested in buying because it's out of my price range. But I think the ideal is great, and once if that price comes down and meets me where it relates to the value, I'm all for it, because the concepts with the fueling stations and the plans that they have for the next 3 to 4 years, I think it's just outstanding. And then, I was just watching a video related to Tesla on their website, and they were talking about, when you come to fuel up, it's free, It's free. So can you imagine the paradigm change, in society as it relates to that, and being able to drive around, and it's just unbelievable. But I think the price has to, match, what society can consume. Just like a lot of new emerging technologies and innovation, they usually start at high price points, and you see that all the time. For example, as it relates to televisions, a new piece of technology come out as it relates to TVs or something. You say, wow, $10,000 for, and now those $10,000 TVs of yesterday are under $1,000 today, or maybe about $400 or $500 today. That's where it has to get to, and then I'll be able to consume it, the regular end consumer, instead of people like you, Alf, that goes out and buy 2 or 3 at a time just to play with them.
Yeah, you wish. Simon, are you with us? I don't know if we can hear you still.
I think you can.
Oh,
I mean,
beautiful.
I couldn't agree more on the Tesla. I went in one the other day really because I wanted to feel what a fast electric car felt like. But what really blew me away was the customer experience inside the vehicle. There was just so much space inside the car, and it was so nice to interact with the big 20-inch monitor to control all aspects of the car, what music you were listening to, see where the next charging station was. And when you see now, that it's got one of the highest crash test ratings of any car ever tested, it's in the top 1%. It almost never rolls over because with the batteries down at the base level, it's super stable. With no engine in the front compartment, they've got one of the bigger crash cells out there, so it protects the passengers really well. I think they've started to make innovations that we're only just beginning to understand. And so, yeah, just like when the Model T was around, a car was much more expensive than the horse it was replacing. But over time, it became, a no-brainer to implement. And I think that's kind of one of the things that we're headed towards is a change. And I think the one other piece I'd add around the notion of service is, when you go to Europe and see the way that other modes of transport, meaning mass transit, are so fully integrated into life there, and therefore accepted a lot greater, and thereby lowering the cost again. Yeah, I think that's one thing we always need to think about is what we're trying to do and what that price, what a reasonable price is for the service that's being provided is, because I think some of the services we have in the U.S. are so disjoint because of the scale of the country and the way we manage it in silos, being states, creates gaps in service delivery that you don't see in other areas of life in different countries.
Well, good luck telling ExxonMobil that we're going to throw off cars and switch to public transportation. Talking about speed, by the way, you've been down to America's Cup and see them go around the corners at an unheard of sailing speeds. What is that? Share with us a little bit what's happening at the forefront of sailing right now, Simon.
Alf, as you probably know, I sail. I've sailed for about 35 years, and the boats I sail on, I'm used to plodding around San Francisco Bay at about 6 knots, which is just barely above jogging speed. Whenever we have incidents with boats, we always read the descriptions of the event, and someone says the boat came out of absolutely nowhere. When boats are wandering around at walking speed, that's kind of hard to imagine. It always makes us laugh. But with these new boats, the speeds that they're achieving are tremendous. They're going over 40 miles an hour. And the important thing to remember there is they're going twice the speed of the wind that they're sailing in.
Wow.
That's how efficient these boats are. They're going so fast, and that's creating a lot of changes in the sport. I mean, it's changed how you bring two boats together, because you don't want two boats risking collisions at 80 miles an hour. That would be really bad. But it's creating a lot of innovation in the control surfaces for the boats, the wing that drives the boats. It's creating changes in how we think about tactics for when boats are racing against each other. It's really exciting to see. So if you're up in San Francisco at all, would strongly recommend going down to the waterfront to watch these amazing machines literally fly over the top of the water.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, being married to a New Zealander and having a Kiwi passport myself, we will definitely make it up there to see that go. Thank you, gentlemen. It was wonderful to have you both in the zoo. Learned so much every time you guys are around, and we'll do this again soon. To the rest of you, take care. Be safe. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Al. Bye.